Hello everyone. In this video, I will explain a very practical and very important method that will enable us to achieve happiness, health, peace, success, and many beautiful things that come to mind. And I will show the scientific facts about this subject from Japan to Europe. Don't be afraid thinking that I will show a lot of scientific articles in English. I will only summarize these articles and the results of the researches in a very short way, and I will tell you in a way that everyone can understand. First of all, the reason for making this video is not to prove how true cupping is because the Prophet Muhammad did it. Rather, it is to show the truth to the people who cannot find a cure for their diseases in the hands of the modern medical sector and the doctors who are slaves to it for money, and to ensure that these people are healthy in a cheap and simple way, to be fit and happy while living, not to linger in hospital corners and with certain diseases after reaching a certain age. Only 100 years ago, all the medical medicines in the world were based on herbal medicines. In other words, treatments all over the world were made with medicines obtained from plants, but this system was disrupted by Rockefeller, who claimed that he produced chemical drugs from petrol. The herbal medicine system all over the world was deliberately destroyed. It was made people forget. This is how the modern medical sector was formed. The biggest reason for this is money. The active ingredient of today's chemical drugs is at a level that consciously does not heal people. We will need another longer video to explain that the main goal is not to cure the disease, but to make money by pretending to cure it. That for this reason, almost no disease today is treated with medicines. That the diseases that seem to be cured are actually swept under the carpet. That the doctors and scientists who founded and managed this modern system also denigrate traditional and real herbal healing methods for money. In the same way, many important diseases have emerged today due to the accumulation of chemical additives used in all products by the food industry, in the human body, and irritating the organs. These diseases do not start suddenly after eating these products, but after the 40s and never go away with the help of the medical sector. We will need a longer video to explain that the most harmful and most common of these chemical additives are glucose syrup made from GMO corn, GMO soy, GMO cornstarch, powdered milk, and Chinese salt called monosodium glutamate, which is found in almost all packaged foods. That these additives are also addictive and also cause sexual disorders, and that sexual disorders are increasing much more today. But from this brief overview, you can see why these doctors on the screen are trying to denigrate wet cupping. Let's take a brief history of wet cupping and see how it is now being appreciated and popularized again by those who seek the truth. The origin of the wet cup and the countries where it was first used have not been identified, but surprisingly, it has been practiced in almost the same way all over the world since ancient times. Wet cupping is widely used in Chinese medicine. Even the pharaohs, who were consumed with love of the world, used it. The Arabs also practiced wet cupping before Islam, so it was not something that came with Islam. But despite this, the Prophet Muhammad praised it highly, and himself practiced it often and recommended it extensively. One of the reasons why wet cupping has been so widespread since ancient times is that it prevents many important diseases as well as curing many ailments in a simple way. The logic of wet cupping is that the toxic, poisonous, harmful substances accumulated in the body are vacuumed out of the skin and removed from the body. In this way, substances that damage the organs and the body are removed. Our body is protected from damage and blood circulation is relaxed. What people get confused about is that people think that the blood that comes out of a wet cupping is normal blood and that it is the same as giving blood. But Hijama is definitely not the same as blood flowing out of a vein. It is toxic substances that have accumulated under the skin. And even at first glance, it is understood that what comes out of the wet cupping is not normal blood, but has the consistency of jelly. Many scientific researches have already revealed this fact and put the final point on this fact. What you are seeing on the screen right now are the laboratory results of the difference between the blood that comes out with wet cupping and normal blood. And every time the analysis of scientific research shows that what comes out with wet cupping is not blood, but toxic substances, and these are very harmful substances. In summary, the difference between Hijama and blood donation is the blood itself. Blood donation removes fresh blood from the veins, while Hijama removes septic blood under the skin. Blood donation is useful in diseases that are treated by extracting fresh blood, and these diseases are very few. But septic blood, which is the root cause of many diseases, is only drained by Hijama. Ibn al-Qayyim wrote, "Hijama removes septic blood more efficiently than puncturing the veins." A surprising fact is that Hijama blood cannot be donated. Hijama is superior to blood donation in many respects. The difference is already very clear in comparing blood donation and Hijama through observation. You can see and read these scientific research links on our website, theralsources.com, and as you will see in all of them, it has been proven that the substances released by wet cupping are very different from the blood in the vein. For this reason, according to many wet cupping practitioners, cupping is a need just like going to the toilet, because cupping helps to remove substances that accumulate in our body over time and are essential to be removed. Today, this method of treatment has spread very quickly also among Westerners and has been used by many celebrities. In the West, Hijama is called wet cupping treatment. There is also the dry cupping method. This means simply pulling the skin with a cup and drawing the toxic substances under the skin. The Japanese have been doing wet cupping much more professionally for a long time. In the pictures and on Japanese websites, you can see how professionally wet cupping is practiced and trained. Japanese people realize how beneficial this treatment is, and nobody in Japan objects to wet cupping. This is evident from the fact that in Japan, children are given cupping at a very young age. In this way, children learn this very important treatment at a young age and continue to practice this method as a habit in their lives. After this information, the ridiculousness of the slander against wet cupping by some doctors who consciously or unconsciously advocate for the money-oriented medical sector becomes more apparent. Some of these doctors are prejudiced enough to claim that the blood that comes out with cupping is carbon dioxide blood, that is, blood that returns to the heart and is cleaned again. Some of them claim that no scientific research on cupping has been proven. Some of them claim that cupping is harmful. One of these ignorant doctors even criticized the recommendation of cupping by our Prophet and said in summary, "The best method then was cupping, but not now, because there is a medical industry. If the Prophet Muhammad lived today, he would not do cupping, he would go to hospitals." In other words, Muhammad was riding a camel then, but if he lived today, he would ride in a car, etc. But our ill-informed doctor does not know that the Prophet Muhammad did not say, "Ride a camel no matter what," or "A camel is more useful than anything else you can ride," but there are many such sayings about cupping. As you can see, the Prophet Muhammad stated in many of his sayings that cupping is a cure for many problems, that it is a very important treatment method, even the most important treatment method. In short, there may be many doctors who cover up the truth like this, but one of the biggest reasons why they say this is that these people have never had a cupping in their lives. If they had overcome their prejudices, they would have seen and understood the benefit. I personally do cupping every year, and I can list my experience as follows. I feel lighter. This lightness should not be understood as weight loss. I am talking about the weight on you that makes you tired. You get rid of the weight on your back and head that makes you cumbersome. I don't get sick easily, and if I do, I get over it standing up. People say I look young. Again, as someone who has been researching food terrorism for years, I have witnessed that there are countless harmful substances in the foods we routinely eat, and it is possible to remove the harmful additives that accumulate in our bodies because of these foods by having a cupping at least once a year. As you know, In addition to the substances we eat and drink, many harmful substances called free radicals enter our body and accumulate even through breathing. Because of these harmful additives, human beings, who should normally live for 200 years according to scientists, barely live for 90 years. In the past, people were dying early due to malnutrition, but that is another matter. The Prophet Muhammad also used to do cupping all the time, and when he died at the age of 53, he didn't even have a few gray hairs in his hair, so he was almost ageless. And anyway, the hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad, called medicine nabawi, are treatments to prevent illness before it happens. That is preventive medicine. There are numerous articles, research results, patient testimonies, and many sayings of the Prophet Muhammad that not only does wet cupping prevent disease before it occurs, but in the case of many diseases, it relieves the disease very quickly. My advice is that it is more important to have a head hijama because the head is the beginning of everything. And Prophet Muhammad says that those who have a head hijama do not need any other treatment. What you need to pay attention to when having a head hijama is not to have a hijama from the front of your head, forehead, or neck. Stay away from people who do this. They perform cupping from 3 points on the back of your head, from the right, left, and center of your fontanelle. This is the right way. They usually make at least 5 trophies off our backs. As long as it is done from the back, there is no harm. You can see the areas of hijama in the picture. By the way, there is no pain in hijama. You feel as if the tip of a pen is sticking. Since what comes out is not blood, there is usually no dizziness or blood drop. Personally, I am a person who gets dizzy even when a little blood is taken from my arm for testing in hospitals, but I have never felt dizzy or weak, even though I had cupping from my head and back at the same time. Most importantly, since the blood drawn is poisonous toxic blood, see hijama as a need. In other words, do hijama with the idea of a need, not with the idea that it provides an extra benefit to yourself. There are many articles stating that hijama heals wherever it is done in our body, and there are many people who have experienced this. In addition, the most important benefit is that it prevents mental diseases. You have read about the benefits to our brain in the hadiths. Scientific research on the benefits of hijama for Alzheimer's has probably not been done by scientists yet, or I have not found it. The scientific research on cupping that you see in this video has been done recently, that is, more recently written scientific articles, because the medical sector, which has ignored wet cupping until today, has been busy with the issues of making medicine from petrol. So the fact that there is no scientific research on wet cupping until today is the fault of today's money-oriented chemical medical sector. But I would like to mention an important conclusion I made as a result of my own research. According to scientists, Alzheimer's is caused by amyloids that accumulate in the body over the years. Amyloid plaques are abnormal protein deposits that accumulate in the brains of Alzheimer's patients and interrupt mental functions. Tau is a protein that causes the death of nerve cells in the brain in Alzheimer's patients. To summarize from scientific research, if hijama helps to remove harmful substances that accumulate in the body, it also helps to remove toxins that accumulate in the head, or toxins that will turn into amyloid when expected. So in this way, wet cupping may also reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. This is how we can explain the fact that the Prophet Muhammad said that wet cupping the head strengthens the mind, that many people who have had cupping feel good mentally, and that all cupping practitioners believe that cupping prevents mental illness. See you again in another video where we will destroy lies and liars. Stay with the truth, stay healthy and happy, friends.